Hi, I'm Alan Ross. I'm here at the IEEE PES T&D, that's a lot of acronyms, conference. This is the 2020 version that is actually being held in 2022. These interviews that we're conducting is with thought leaders on the future of the power industry. So enjoy. My next guest is Joe Barron. Joe is with Mitsubishi Electric and something else.
Electric Power Products, Inc.
Electric Power Products, Inc.
Right.
Joe, it is good to meet you.
Yes, nice to be here. Thank you.
Joe Barron has no royalties coming from the Barron Pizza Company
No.
or the Barron Transformer Power, whatever that is there. Good. It's good to have you. You're the Vice President of Corporate Development and Strategy and what else?
And marketing.
And marketing.
Yes,
so
yeah,
you do it all.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the industry. A lot is changing,
yes.
Okay? And you've been around a long time in the industry as a practitioner, when you first, which I love, by the way. I love practitioners who've been power engineers in the industry. What's changing, and what are the big things that we ought to be anticipating coming forward?
Well, I think the biggest change we're seeing is an industry. When I started in the power, coming out of school with electrical engineering degree and working in the industry. The grid of 30 years ago, you generated power in a power plant. You sent it out over your transmission and went out to your distribution, to your homes, or your businesses. And you basically had a one-way system.
Step-down system.
You got it. And what we are seeing with the advent of solar, wind, the whole distributed generation, we're seeing a network that for 100 years was built to send power one way only, to now have to adapt to be able to both accept power and transmit power bidirectionally. You put solar on your roof. When you're not burning the power, you're generating. So that entire grid that was designed for power to go in one direction now is going to have to adopt to be able to manage power in both directions, where the users at one time of day could be the producers at a different time of the day.
Yeah.
And it's much harder to drive down a two-way street than a one-way street.
Yeah,
so.
and there's an impact on the assets. I mean, they age more rapidly, but there's also more transients created. There's a lot of different issues that we're dealing with. So it isn't just that we've got, I used to go from step down to step everywhere.
Right.
It's kind of what we do now, you know? And my son, who has solar on his house in California, he's perfectly energy happy until he's not, and he needs power to come in from Southern Cal Edison, right?
Yeah.
So it's for utilities, it's going to be an incredibly challenging time.
And it's and it's the control, right? How do I manage a system where the generating points at noon, right, could be running full out, but come 7 o'clock at night when everyone comes home and turns their air conditioner on or starts cooking dinner, where the solar is, maybe the solar, the wind is dying down. So it's a much more dynamic system that we're going to have to learn how to manage. And of course, that means building more intelligence into the system. Not only into what was traditionally sort of dumb hardware, but also the systems that manage, that manage that whole distributed energy resources across wide areas.
Right.
So
that takes a lot of data generation, data acquisition, data determination. What is it saying? And then how do I apply all of this massive amount of data that's coming from all of my assets right now? So do you see that as a challenge for the utility industry?
Absolutely. Yes. I was talking to some of the utilities, and they were saying one of the most difficult positions now that they're trying to fill is data scientists.
Yes.
Right. And who would have thought? And when I came out of engineering school, I was a power engineer, right? Doing load studies, right? But who would have thought that the hardest job to fill now in a power utility is a data scientist,
right?
And it is so that they build tools, right, to be able to analyze that data and then take action based on what they find.
I think it was in 2018, maybe 19, the National Grid in upstate New York and that part of it hired more data scientists than they did EEs.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, wow, that's a sea change of information that's taking place.
And I think that's what's making the industry exciting. I mean, talking to some of the young engineers that we're hiring, I mean, to me, the energy industry today is sort of like the telecom industry was in the 80s, or the data net industry was in the 90s. I mean, you've got changes in regulation, you've got changes in new technology creates new business plans, creates new business opportunities, and as a young engineer, right? That's an exciting place to be, right? Where innovation is not just coming from the technology, but from the business models, from the regulation. There'll be companies. Think about it. The biggest companies that we think of today weren't around 20 years ago.
Right.
I really think the whole transition in energy, in 10 years, you're going to see companies energy related that aren't here today, and there's some folks that are here today that they're going to be absorbed or they're not going to be around anymore.
We are doing. We've got a little advertisement for here. The PES is putting on. Every other year we do this T&D, but now in the off years we're going to be doing the Grid Edge Conference.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be in San Diego at the convention center there. I'm on the steering committee, so this is a plug, a shameless plug, but we're expecting it to be in the scale of this, a $3.5–4 million conference. Partly because of all that change at the grid edge.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of things are changing there. And one of the things that we're finding out, companies that are part of the PES T&D are now looking at it and saying, hey, all of this is changing. We have to change with it. One of the things we're doing at the Grid Edge Conference is there's going to be a VC group.
Okay.
Because there's going to be a lot of VC money looking for placements. And we're trying to figure out how to do that, because you don't want to have somebody buy a booth and then give somebody placement and they get the money, and the guy that buys the booth is not that far away from a launch.
Okay,
So it's going to be it's like, I call it the Wild West.
Oh, yeah.
It is exciting for that generation.
I've been with Mitsubishi for 8 years, and before that I spent about 8 years in private equity, investing in emerging, with a group that invested in emerging technology companies. And when I come to a show like this, we have a booth here, but I spend most of my time walking those 10 by 10 booths, right? Because to me, that's where a lot of the innovation's coming from, and sort of get you thinking about, wow, there's some smart people doing things that we're not even aware of yet.
Exactly. So what is Mitsubishi doing? Mitsubishi Electric doing about this new future? What are the things you see that the company's positioning itself for?
I mean, most recently, in terms of real action, about 6 months ago, we announced the acquisition of our first software company, company called SGS, that's located in Glasgow, Scotland. They're a 70-person company, emerging technology in the area of distributed energy resource management. We realized that we did not have a core competency in software development, and we went out to look for a company we thought was a leader that we could bring in and really sort of jumpstart our whole area in that control for distributed energy.
That's excellent. So, now, the only thing I could tell you that I wish that was in Edinburgh, because I was born.
Oh, okay. Oh, really?
Born
That's
in
only
Edinburgh
an hour drive
instead of Glasgow, right? I know. That's fascinating. So a company like Mitsubishi goes out and acquires a company in the software space, which speaks volumes about data management, and everything we're talking about here. What else is going on with Mitsubishi?
We're definitely focusing more on the whole microgrid space.
Okay.
We believe that, again, for a variety of economic drivers, we're going to see a growth in microgrids. But I also think that you are going to see a significant growth in not the traditional. You will see the growth in the IOUs, but a lot of other commercial, industrial customers, I think, are going to be getting a lot more active in their energy management.
Okay.
And of course, they're going to need expertise and know-how to help them. Build those microgrids, manage those microgrids, and really optimize their energy. So,
speaking of knowledge and expertise, IEEE, You've been a member for a while.
A long time, yeah.
A long time. You said out of college, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to say how long that is.
I was
but
I was a college member, right? Yeah.
Right. Speak to the value that IEEE has been to you, and the value that like companies like Mitsubishi have been to IEEE. Talk about the value of the organization.
Well, I think keeping up. So there's 2 points, right? First, you have the networking part,
right?
Okay, and there's always the social networking, but the networking with subject matter experts in the field, right?
Right.
And sometimes sometimes that results in some pretty sort of informal but very very informative meetings, discussions that you have. So I always viewed the network and the connections I've made through the industry has been very valuable. Naturally, it's because I have corporate development and marketing. We're often sort of looking through the IEEE publications for market research. But one of the things I tell many of my younger folks younger in my group is it's very important in your career to establish relationships with I can say it now because I'm a gray bearded mentor, right?
Yeah.
That can tell you the things you didn't learn in school, right? And the maybe not the tricks isn't the right word, but we learn ways through experience of how to do things better and more efficiently and to get the answers that we need. And often, again, having that ability to network with people that have been there and done that, I've found to be very valuable. I really can name a few people in my career that I still remember fondly today that were that kind of mentor to me, and probably I contribute some of my success in my career to those people. So
gray beards, gray matter.
You got
it. That's what we do there.
Yeah.
Anyway, this has been an interview with Joe Barron. Joe, thank you so much.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it. Yes.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Bye-bye.